and picking up stuff from the ground. And man, ever since I gave my life to the Lord, man, and committed to just being a volunteer, hell has broke loose in my life. Stuff is just going on, man, that I have no idea. When I was smoking dope and drinking and smoking sherm, man, when I was, man, just addict out. Wasn't caring about nobody. The devil wasn't messing with me and I wasn't messing with him. But all of a sudden, when I get saved and commit myself to what God wants me to do, all of a sudden my mama cusses me out and I didn't even know she cussed. All of a sudden things shift. That's what's happening here. They've been used. The power of God has been effective in their life. And Paul is walking in his purpose and walking in the power of his purpose. Now let me say this. If you're going to walk in power and in purpose, there's going to be pressure. And the reason why some of us don't walk fully committed to God is because of the pressure. It is so. Because you love it when we preach the power of purpose. You love it when we preach the pleasures of purpose, the process of purpose. You love it when we give you the presentation of purpose. But not many of us can handle when we preach about the pressures of purpose. Because purpose has pressure. Because God is always going to stretch to become more. He's always going to pull on you for you to come higher. And if you're comfortable where you are, you will feel the levels of pressure. Pressure oftentimes is a human response to a purpose of God in your life. Some of us, that pressure that we feel, that's because you're like the wine bottle that has the cork on the top of it. And the reason why you got to be careful releasing the top of the cork is because there's pressure inside of the bottle. But if you ever get to what's inside of the bottle, a good glass of wine will make a depressed man feel good. I don't drink. I'm just saying. Been there, done that. Spent the night, bought the t-shirt. Know what it's like. But what God is doing and God is saying is that what's inside of you, if you release it, it will release the pressure. And those that come to drink of you, Jesus tells the woman at the well, give me something to drink. If he would have known that the well was sitting on a well, he said, if you would have known who I was, you would have asked me for something to drink. Because what I give you, man, will give you everlasting life. What you carry, what you have, will release somebody's life if you open up the cork. Release the wine. Oh my God. I don't have but 3 hours left. Y'all bear with me. Let's go! Woo! The tension in the text. Always know, if you walk for God, live for God, there's going to be tension and there's going to be testimony. You're going to have both of them. Paul said it like this: think it not strange concerning the fiery trials that come to try you, as if some strange thing is happening to you. He's trying to let you know that it's not strange, it's normal. I'm under attack. Oh, that's normal. Pastor Johnny, I got a bad report from the doctor. You've been living like you've been living, walking with God, being upright, doing everything you need to do. Something should be trying to attack you, assault you. Let me help you to understand something. If nobody's shooting at you, it means you're not in the war. If something is coming at you, that's because you are a threat. That's because there's a hand of God on your life. That's because you call it normal. Somebody say, I'm normal. I hear you, God. And so the tension of the text is, here's a man of God that's being used by God. He's anointed by God. People are being healed and released. And even in this particular chapter, a dude that was born crippled, man, Paul said, I perceive that you got faith to be healed. Get up. And he got up. And they start trying to worship him. He said, listen, don't worship me. Man, we came here to tell you who to worship, and his name is Jesus. But the imagine is that here he is helping people, blessing people. The church is being added to daily, such as should be saved. And the Bible says they stoned Paul. The angels don't stop it. Jesus don't stop it. God does not come down and stop it. The disciples don't stop it. God don't intervene. He doesn't block it. Somebody said to me the other day, Pastor Johnny, woo! I was going through some stuff, man, and God blocked it. I said, praise the Lord. In this text, God did not block it. He let it happen. Sometimes God is going to let things happen. And the reason why he lets things happen is because sometimes it makes it look like the devil is in charge. The devil is only the devil under God's control. He's never in charge. And I don't care, I don't know who I'm talking to, but I need to encourage somebody in the room. I don't care what you're going through. I don't care what it looks like. I don't care what your experience is. The devil is the devil under God's control. He is not in authority. He does not have power over you. He is the devil under God's control. And the reason why sometimes God will make it look like the devil's way is working, because he wants him to make it look like it's working so that he can prove to the devil that his way won't work. So sometimes it looks like I'm dead. Sometimes it looks like I'm knocked out. Sometimes it looks like I'm monkey, one foot in front of the other. And it looks like I need to just give it up. Baby, don't give it up. Don't give it up. Don't let it go. Because God's got his hand on you, and he will never turn you over to the will of your enemy. I am preaching to Johnny Thompson. And so just know that the reason why they're up under the level of attack that they are is because every anointing has an adversary. If you're going to be anointed, just know that the enemy's not just going to let you kick it and just be anointed. Amen. You going in the hospitals and people coming out saying, hey, sister, you know, when you came and prayed for me, I went to MRI the next day, got an MRI, and the doctor was trying to figure out, scratching his head, what happened to the cancer? What happened to the tumor? What happened to the growth? And I told him that I had a sister from the church that stopped by to see him. She had a little bottle of oil in her purse. She pulled it out and she opened it up and she said, my sister, the word of God says, if there's any sick among you, let them call for the elders of the church. I'm not an elder, but I'm a believer, and these signs shall follow them that believe. And she anointed me with oil and prayed the prayer of faith, and all I can tell you is that that's what happened before the MRI. Man, I feel like running around this church. I can't tell you the many times that I've seen God heal and deliver and set free, and oftentimes after my most vulnerable times in my life, and I realize that he looks beyond me to use me. He will look beyond you to use you. And so they stoned this dude, and God permits it. Help me understand something, Pastor Johnny. I'm living for God. I'm serving God. God is using me. My life is a surrendered life. I'm anointed and appointed. I try not to live disjointed. And here I am getting stoned to death. My marriage has been stoned. My ministry has been stoned. My life is being stoned. There is an attack against my family, my children. Pastor Johnny, I lost a child. I understand that. We did too. Yeah. My son was born with a crippling condition while I was preaching. While I was preaching, my son was born with a crippling condition. But while I was preaching, God turned that crippling condition around. While I was preaching, while I was pastoring, while I was sacrificing, while I was the first one at the church and the last one to leave, while I was serving God, while I was dealing with the enemies in the inner me and dealing with the enemies in the inner you, while I was laying hands on the sick and watching them recover, while I was binding devils and taking spirits and telling them get out of her and get out of him, and while even devils were obeying me, my daughter gets cancer. Why am I being stoned while I am walking with you, God? Why am I living with you, God? Why am I being stoned? Why? I'm just preaching. I'm just helping people. I'm just ministering. I'm just in my place. When they tell me to stand here, I stand here. When they tell me to stand here, I stand here. while I am doing your will. Why are they doing it? And why are you letting them do it?
Come on.
Because God is never going to protect you from the thing that he's going to use to perfect you. And one thing that he wants the devil to know is that stones won't stop you.
Stronger.
And so, why are you letting that happen, God? God's kind of like the man that buys his wife a box of a dozen long stem roses, and she opens up the roses. Oh, Henry, oh, Henry, you're the man, Henry. You're just always blessing me. But when she picks out one of the long stem roses, there is a thorn on it, and so it pricks her hand, and now she's bleeding. And so now she has a beautiful gold box of roses, but she also has bleeding from her hand as a result of the roses. She doesn't start yelling at her husband and screaming at him. She doesn't leave him and go to another church. Go to another man. She doesn't do that. She almost lost my place. Maybe that was the Holy Ghost. Yeah. She doesn't scream at him. She doesn't throw the box of roses in the trash because there's blood on her finger and her finger has been pricked. The reason why she doesn't do that is because she understands that the intent of the giver was not to hurt her or to harm her, but to lovingly give her something that he wanted her to have. Can you handle God by the stem?
Wow.
Let me run across the grass and get to where I'm going and land this plane before you are happy that I got up and really happy that he sat down. Not only did they stone him, until he was dead, but they wanted to get rid of him. They stoned him to stop him. They stoned him to silence him. Some of you have been giving your testimony. Brother, man, God has been blessing me. Man, God has turned my life around, man. My wife wasn't supposed to be pregnant, and now she's pregnant. God has blessed us. God has turned things around. My business is going good. Man, I got a job. Man, ever since I gave my life and started serving in the sanctuary, man, God has been flipping some things upside down in my family. When they stoned him to shut him up. Can I tell you that many of the attacks that are on you is to shut you up? Stop talking about this Jesus.
Yeah.
Stop going on your job and on your lunch break. You stop before you bite your sandwich and you say, God, I just want to thank you for the bread I'm about to put in my mouth. I just want to give you praise because a year ago I was homeless and eating out of a trash can, but today I'm eating a lunch that I bought because you blessed me with a job. They're trying to say, shut up. We don't want to hear about this Jesus. Every time you come in on a Monday, you tell me where you've been on Sunday. I've been to this church in Costa Mesa. They were jumping up and down and leaping and praising God. Shut up! Shut up! They were trying to silence him. And so they stoned him. Some of us have been stoned with addiction. Some of us have been stoned with depression. Stones until you were dead. And then what they did is that they dragged him out of the city, because the devil's not just trying to stop you, he's trying to get rid of you. Let me tell you the power of this text. The Bible says that they stoned him to death and dragged him out of the city, verse 19. But as the believers stood around him, he got up. Hold up a second, Luke. You wrote the book of Acts. If you said he was dead, he was dead. But can I tell you something? It matters who you have around. Give me 5 minutes. He's dead, man. He's dead. He's dead. The ministry is dead. The man is dead. Frankie, come here for a second. I need people to stand around me because I'm dead. I have no life in me. I have no power in me. Where you at, Adam? You in the room? You two brothers that's on the front seat? Come up here for a second. I need you to stand around me because I'm dead. The enemy has attacked me. He hit me with stones of divorce, man, and I have not been able to move on since. I lost everything that I ever had, and I have not been able to move on since. Man, he stoned me with addiction. I thought I was free. I thought I was delivered, man. I started telling people I'm free, I'm delivered. I go to this church in Orange County, and man, I've just been free. And all of a sudden, man, I got stoned, but I had people that stood around me. I had people that stood around me. The Bible says this. They stood around him. Yeah, man. That's what they started doing. You will live in death when you do not put the right people around you. If they would not have showed up, he would have laid there, knots all over his face, bones broken. Life is gone out of him. He would have been filled with rigor mortis. He would have laid there and died. But the scripture says, don't move. The scripture says that they stood around him. They gathered around him. They circled around him. It's not about a circle. It's not, or should I say, it's not about a clique. It's about a circle of the right people that are around you. Because if the right person is around you, when you have the right person around you, it sets your pulse to beating again. I've seen people that man left church, but the right person went and knocked on the door and said, hey, baby, I haven't seen you in a good little while. Where you been? Let me pray for you. Let me encourage you. I want to see you back at the things that God was doing in your life. There was a circle around him, and the Bible says that he stood up. He stood up. The Bible said he stood up and he went back. That's the reason I was going to name this message, I'm back. Because you thought you killed me. You thought you stopped me. You thought you blocked me. Sin thought it had its hands on me. But when the right people got around me, thank you, brothers, when the right men got around me, when the right people got around me, he stood up and he went back. You know why? Because stones don't stop us.
Nope.
Yeah.
Last weekend I was in Portland, Oregon. Last Sunday. I got a call probably, I don't know, weeks ago. A friend of mine was in 4-stage cancer in his liver. And he never told anybody that he knew 2 years before. And because he never told anybody, he just kept walking through life like he didn't have it. But when that thing hit him, it hit him and turned the corner on him so quickly. And so I was praying that God, you would just let me get to him. I just want to get to him. I just want to get to him. I just want to get to him. I'm one of those kind of guys that when Jesus was asked, hey, Jesus, my son is at the point of death. Can you come? He would say, I'll come. I'm just that dude. I'm that guy that says, okay, I'll come. I'll come. I'll come. Because that's what ministry is. That's what ministry is. Just because I'm a pastor don't mean nothing, man. The title doesn't make me. I make the title.
Woo!
Before I got there, he had been 5 days and he hadn't said anything. He's in hospice. His mom was taking care of him in the house. And when I walked in, man, it was just the smell. His eyes were dead. everything about him was just like gone. Interestingly enough, is that I call him when I get into town, when I get to my hotel, and I call Uber, and I say, how long is it going to take you? And so I call the house, and I say, hey, listen, I'm in town, and I'm on my way. He hadn't spoken for 5 days, said nothing. On the phone, they said, Johnny's here, and he's on his way. And I heard him say, Johnny's here, Johnny's here. Get me up, get me up, get me up, get me up, Johnny's here. Listen. That has nothing to do with me. What I am saying is that you carry a certain thing that will cause a pulse to ignite in somebody else's life. And if you would resist the temptation of being by yourself and not being engaged with people, if you would resist the temptation and understand that there is something in you, man, something in you, woman of God, something that God wants to use, something that God wants to incite inside of you, if you would just simply say yes, your yes,
yes,
will cause somebody's pulse to start beating again. Every head bowed, every eye closed. I am so out of time. I try not to apologize for it. I am a long-winded preacher, but it's simply because I got something to say. Young people say stuff, older people have stuff to say. And I don't ever want to bore you, man, but man, when I look and see what the impact of the gospel wants to do in our lives, I can't help but to preach, man. I want to preach. I gotta preach. Let the preacher preach. Somebody say, God, use me. Somebody say it again, God, use me. Somebody say, God, help me get out of the way. God, use me. Our heads are bowed and our eyes are closed. If there's anybody in this